Hi, folks. My name is Girish, the host for Back to Basics, another Back to Basics for another week. Today, it's really amazing. I spoke with this guy many times on a social media network, somewhere on a different app, and I'm not going to mention which one because everyone goes there, it looks like. But today, I'm going to talk to him, and we're going to talk about solopreneur, entrepreneur. So what does that mean to me? And that's what we're going to be talking about. And today, my guest is amazing. His name is Ramon, and we're going to bring him on the show, and we're going to have a great time. I hope so. So, Raymond, how are you? And thanks for coming on the show.
You are so welcome. I'm doing fantastic as we're doing this session. I appreciate you having me. I hope you and your family and those who are important to you are well. And I feel good. Today's been a great day.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on the show. But before we start the show, all the words that I have mentioned today, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, what does back to basic mean to you?
I think back to basics. Sometimes I think in life, Girish, that we can go on and on and on and forget where we came from. So I think that's one thing, to never forget beginnings. I think point two, sometimes it's the basics of things that the fundamental of things that are success. This doesn't mean that, 50 years from now, you can't tweak, do cool things, fancy things. But I think that everything I find in life, and I'm not into space or aeronautics, but my guess is that it's about propulsion, leaving gravity, air supply for space, all the mathematical formulas for the trajectory as gravity brings you down, and a few basic things like that. A lot of details in between, but to me, that's what I think of basics, that everything can be broken down into some common elements that you want to fundamentally explain to people, then you can build up on that. Because I think if you don't get the basics, people don't understand the core concept, how a fax machine works, whatever you want to describe it, then I think it's hard to move on. How did I do?
Yeah, you did great. Thank you so much for answering that question. And guys, whoever is listening here, that particular segment of what does back to basic mean, it will be on a playlist on my YouTube channel. So please take a look at that of all my guests that I have done so far. So thank you. Thank you again for answering this question, and thank you for being on the show here. So entrepreneur, solopreneur, pinupreneur, anapreneur, all the preneurs, what are the differences, or is pretty much the same thing? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Which two should we tackle first? I think which two should we tackle first? What would you like?
Okay, so let's do the entrepreneur, and the solopreneur. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, I think that, and I'll add in small business, and we can get political on this, potato, things like that. Which one's better, Coke or Pepsi? But how I define it and think, I believe that all business owners and all people, to some degree, should have an entrepreneurial streak around them. About them. And I think an entrepreneur, for me, that really is someone who has a bit of risk they're willing to take. I think that's important. They have a bit of gumption, as Marie Forleo, her good book, right? Everything is figure outable, as she talks about in her book. I think you have a bit of, I can figure it out, a bit of can do and risk tolerance, excuse me. So I think that's one. I think for the small business owner in general, you don't have to be the proverbial Elon Musk. You could say, you know what? It's me by myself, or me and my small team. We want to be profitable. I want to pay myself well, but that's pretty much it. I don't have ideas buzzing in my head all day long, as we entrepreneurs do, as we people do. Really, we're looking to do the next thing or grow it and scale it. And the third, I think, this solo business owner, which is interesting. I do have a team of 5, but I consider myself a solo business owner. They're contractors. This is my office. I don't pretend to be anything more than it is. It's just me by myself here in the Smart Hustle headquarters. So the solo business owners, you still can have systems. You still can have processes and etc. But I think solo means, generally speaking, you have your hand in making the product. Generally speaking, you even have your hand probably in selling the product. So you're a bit closer to it than maybe the larger small business. They may not be making the product at all. They're kind of, some people are making it in the factory, as it were. Maybe they're only managing. So is that helpful? Again, the entrepreneur, often they want to scale it bigger. The small business owner, it's them and a team of people. And the solo business owner, for sure, they're kind of closer to that freelancer, as Seth Godin talks about. But solo is a hybrid, because they may not be quite freelancer, but they're not quite large scale growing small business. They're still a one-person shop with a team or not.
Yeah. Thank you again for answering this question. But let me ask you this, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Back in the days, we used to say businessman and businesswoman, right? And do you think it's a cool thing to say entrepreneur, or do you think that we have kind of defined it much more deeper than the businesswoman and the businessman? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, if I'll get really political here. Political meaning I say that in a fun way.
Yeah.
I don't like everybody throwing on the word she's an entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneur. For
Mm,
example,
mm,
you have a person who's knitting some garments together, going on Etsy, knitting some garments together, going to the local flea market and selling, 10,000 a year worth of fabric. That's really closer to the side of hobby. They're transacting money, but I think as we in the scale of things of what it connotates,
mm,
no, they're not being Mark Cuban of Shark Tank. They're not. Sorry, they're not. So
mm,
I think that's I'm careful. A business owner to me, I would like to define it. You pretty much are in a full-time business, more or less, or going towards that. And you're building in some revenue or going towards that. That's generally self-supporting. Because I
mm,
think you do want to differentiate between people who are making 2 ceramic cups a year and selling it at their church.
yeah.
Good for them. That's great. But
Mm,
that's a different spirit, a different thought, a different mentality than
mm,
someone's like, yeah, we want to build a business that's paying ourselves 50,000, which is arguably not a lot of money. So I'm not talking about some billionaire, but paying yourself something to sustain you versus the hobby side. So that's kind of how I differentiate it versus a passion business that I'm doing it, I'm not doing it, I stopped doing it this month
mm,
versus those of us who may be doing it, we're full tilt are going towards that
mm,
to provide a living of some sort of something meaningful as far as the revenue
mm,
is taking
mm.
place.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Thank you again for explaining that and dissecting
Sure.
it really, without being political, really. So,
Because
so
I have friends of mine who argue about it. Ramon, we're
yeah,
all entrepreneurs, not just Elon Musk.
yeah,
I get what they're saying, but Megan, who's or Bobby, who's baking a cake
yeah,
once a week, he sells one. Yeah, it's cute to say Bobby's an entrepreneur, but he has a full-time job at Merrill Lynch, or he works for the NBA making 10 million a year, and he sells his cake on the side. Well, a little different.
Well, you brought up a great point. A person who's working a 9 to 5 job or 10 to 6, or the
Mhm.
corporate job, um, but then they also have a contract job somewhere else or a part-time job somewhere else. Now, is that considered, I don't know, a second job or a entrepreneurial thought process that, what, they're gonna gain their business small tax ID contract job plus my corporate job? What are your thoughts on that part?
Well, here's the thing. Where is it going? And I think that's really, I don't really worry about so much where you're at because, as you may know, I've had a full time job at the United Nations and I started probably one or two businesses there. And
Mm,
my heart was full time entrepreneurship, but eventually I left to fulfill my own dreams. So I guess what I'm trying to say, if you have a full time job, you're pulling down for the New York market, 150,000 a year.
mm,
And on the side, you have a business and you don't plan on leaving it. Yeah, your business is making money, call it what it is, but it's just still a bit different, Girish, than
mm,
somebody who I know. That's it. This is sink or swim. You got to make this work. So I
mm,
don't want to be too nitpicky. It's
mm,
just the heart is different. And most likely, if you have a full time job, I don't know how many team members you have. I
mm,
don't know how much time you have to grow it and scale it. I
mm,
don't know. So
mm,
that's why I would be a little picky and say, yeah, you could have a full time job. And if your business is thriving, you figured out some way to hack it, like you're leaving at 4 p.m. and you're growing it, because you think about a lot of the proverbial Shark Tank businesses, they started
that's right.
while the owner was full time. So
That's
I'm
right.
not begrudging that, because that's
Yeah.
why I think of where are you going. But if
Yeah.
you said you've had your side hustle collecting stamps for the last 35 years, and for the last 35 years you've been full time, well, that's kind of a side business,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that. And guys, just an FYI, there was an episode that I did on season one, and we talked about the entrepreneurship and the small businessman and the solopreneur. So listen to that and listen to this and compare between you. You tell me which one is right and which one is wrong, or just comment.
Yes. And to be
So,
clear, everyone has to have the heart of an entrepreneur.
yeah,
That's for sure. You can think about your systems and your processes and hiring or not and time. And all these things are important, but I think I'm just splitting hairs between a guy who's, fine tuning tennis rackets. I'm just trying to give a diversity of things,
sure.
fine tuning tennis rackets just on Saturdays for 2 hours little different than somebody who has a tennis racket, maintenance business, and
Sure.
they're there 7 days a week, 10 hours a day grinding. A little different.
Yeah. Thank you again for answering that question, and thank you for comparing that, because I'm thinking back in my season one and today, and I'm comparing the two apples and oranges,
Yes.
and I'll figure it out, and I'll tell you offline later on that part. But let me ask you this: power to focus to grow. Do you think
Mm.
that's the right way to focus, or do you think the money is the focus to grow?
Hmm. And so it's power to focus to grow versus money. Help me understand that a bit more. I think it's an interesting question, but I want to make sure I got it right.
Sure, because some people, they want to grow their business, right?
Okay.
And they want to make millions, they want to make thousands, or they want to make a couple of thousands, right? Do you think the money is the drive,
Mhm.
or do you think power is the drive, or the
Mhm.
passion is the drive? Or
Yeah.
what are the words that we should be using?
Sure. Based on the business owners that I've come across, and I speak to tens of thousands a year. So, based on the ones I've come across, it seems the majority of them have a passion for what they do,
Mm,
or they're solving a problem. You
mm,
think of Tim Cook, or Scott Cook, founder of Intuit, many years ago. He said, I was doing my accounting, spreadsheets, and I figured out there has to be a better way. So you often hear that's one thing. I was doing it and I said, maybe I can create a solution and maybe I can make money for this. So I think that's one. I
yeah.
think number two, then either solving a problem or the passion.
Mm,
Hey, listen, I love playing with my dog, and it was not a problem per se. I just have a passion about it. I figured, let me see if I can sell this system or product to others. So I think
mm,
that's one. Yes, there are some people I talk to, but it's less of that, Girish, and maybe it's 10%. I don't have the exact stats, but just
mm,
guessing here that they say, you know what? I have 20,000 in my investment account, 50,000 in my IRA. I don't really know what business I want. I just want to make money. So I'm looking for something. I'll buy a franchise and maybe I'll retire with it. You
mm,
feel that even how I sounded right was a little
mm,
different.
mm,
The person is waking up in the morning. You know
mm,
what? My grandmother told me how to make the best folding sheets. I bet I could get a patent and have a little plastic gadget.
mm,
Maybe I can sell this on QVC. We
mm,
want the business. You
mm,
have to look at the numbers for sure.
mm,
You shouldn't be in business. You need to be profitable. That's
mm,
different than a person who maybe say, you know what? My dad gave me $25,000 before he died. Maybe I'll try to get a franchise. We'll see what happens. It's a little different spirit. So I think that those who are passionate about it and
mm,
excited about it, I think those who I like at least to be in business with, or they're solving a problem.
mm.
Listen, I every time I put my shirt on, I can't get it tucked in right.
Yeah,
Ha! I
yeah.
have the shirt tucking program. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
yeah, yeah. It does make sense, because you are striving to get bread and butter on the table for sure. At the end of the day, we all want money, right? But I
Yes.
think that the drive is the question. I think that's your key. I
The
think you
drive.
have explained that correctly. So thank you again for explaining that. How to grow your solo business and live your fullest life.
Yeah.
That was the title that I think you wanted this for this show.
Oh, we
So
can take it wherever you want to take it. No
So
problem.
no. So tell me, so why live to the fullest, and why not just a regular 9 to 5
Mm.
solopreneur life?
I love it. Now, to be clear, you can live to the fullest and work 9 to 5. So, for sure, because everybody can't imagine if everybody was an entrepreneur, we'd have visionaries walking around the world, nobody be getting the work done. So,
Mm,
you
mm,
need people who are great and want a job and want the stability and don't want to dream it, don't want to envision it. They don't want to create the systems. You need those people who are like, I have a vision. Here's the system. Let me hire people to help me build it. You need those people. But I think there's another way to live a full life if you want that freedom to choose your destination, that
mm,
freedom to choose how you want to do your business, that
mm,
freedom to say, you know what, I want a little more free time with my family. Now, we know as you're in business, often that doesn't happen, but if you build the right business, you can have more free time. So I
mm,
think that's when I think about living one's full life. For those of us who are business owners, we know that if we scale and grow our business, one, we
mm,
can provide for other people.
mm,
Two, we get to choose the people we work with. Three, we can then dictate the clients we serve. Four, we can dictate how we make what we're serving.
mm,
Five, if we build that business with the wealth that entrepreneurs can build
mm,
and build a true system, as you may know, because you interview and this is in your space as well, you can build a system that has the right framework and that builds even wealth for you to change the world, make it a better place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you again for explaining that. But earlier, just right before this comment of yours,
Please.
you did mention that spend time with your family, have your business, and yada yada stuff, right? So I think the first thing came in my mind is time management,
Mhm.
right? Because as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, small businesses, you are working pretty much every day, 7 days a week, right? Because that's your own business. When you're working a corporate job, which is 9 to 5, is only Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday, depending on the timings, right?
Mhm.
So, what are your thoughts on that? How do we manage our time management?
Yeah. Lisa Price said something very well. She said, "Some days I was a great mother and a terrible boss.
Mm,
Some days I was a bad boss, but a great mother." So, my advice and my plea is to try to find some balance. For sure, those of us who are in business, there's some days we tell our family, "Sorry, daddy, mommy, 3 days I have to be away at the annual conference. I got to go." Or
mm,
this season, sales are tough. I'm going to have to spend less time with you all. But I
mm,
think overall, the goal is to build the business, to grow the business to a degree so we can pass that season of stress and of hardship and of
mm,
difficulty, and the business gets a bit easier.
mm,
That's the goal. Because, yes, but keep in mind, working a 9 to 5 as well, they often work later. They have the hour commute, they're
mm,
bringing work home. So they don't have it necessarily easy, but I think it's a different type of pain that we
mm,
choose. And for
mm,
the business owner, I think the pleasure of it is that for those who are working in a company, you're doing what your boss says. You're doing what you're told. For those of
mm,
us who are business owners, I sink or swim, and the fate's in my hand completely.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, thank you so much for explaining that. People, they say that I go crazy because I'm releasing my episodes every day, and how do you manage your time? And I
Yeah.
think you plan it right. I think you can make it happen, right? If you put your mind to it. So I think it's the same concept for the business
Yes.
wise too. So thank you again for explaining that.
Absolutely.
Your book. Can we talk about your book if you don't mind?
Actually, anything you like, sure. Whatever helps the audience, I'm happy to talk about for sure.
Let me talk about your book if you don't mind. So, did you think of being solo, or did the title come first?
You ask very insightful questions. My guess is, as I was planning it, is that to demystify that solo business owners can
Mm,
be successful. And I
mm,
think when I say that, we all know entrepreneurs, the typical entrepreneur that's building a $1 billion valuation company. Check.
mm, mm,
We do understand the aspect of freelancers. It's just me, literally just me. I'm a solo, single shingle attorney. Got it. And this small business word is a bit, I think the word is amorphous.
mm,
Small business is that entrepreneur,
mm,
small business is that freelancer. But I
mm,
thought there could be a category of solo business owner, kind of akin to the creator, the content producer, the
mm,
consultant, the coach, the speaker. I'm around many of these people, and we are solo business owners with the DNA of an entrepreneur. But oftentimes, to be successful, we hire our first executive assistant. We
mm,
do have a designer, a podcast editor, maybe even a part time salesperson. So we're solo because we do have our hands in crafting it. We're
mm,
solo because we are selling it. We're solo because we are responding to a lot of the inquiries and emails. But we do have a small ninja team. So I kind of hijacked that word solo to
mm,
not mean solo, just you and me, just myself. But that's where I think the book came from.
mm,
Grow your solo, to give hope for the
mm,
millions of us who are out there. We don't see ourselves as just a freelancer. And
mm,
we know we don't want to be a large scale entrepreneur. So hence, grow your solo. I wanted to let people know that, hey, there's hope and that you can grow your solo business. And by the way, those listening, if you DM me on Instagram, you can just find me on Instagram solo. Lots of free information about that whole concept of solo empowerment, which I
mm.
think is important to DM me the word solo on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that. But you know what? Why grow solo, and why
Mm,
not grow accountability? Because yourself, you're going to make mistakes, right? So
yes.
your accountability is going to be you. So why not change the word a little?
Yeah, well, grow your solo business. So as you grow your solo business,
Mm,
absolutely, and some of the fundamental parts of being a solo business, I'll show another book, one of my favorite here, Jim Collins' Flywheel. This is a
mm,
really important book, and I at first thought this was only for big businesses, but I realized, Girish, that those of us who have a solo business,
mm,
If we want to grow our solo business,
mm,
first is leadership.
mm,
We have to be accountable to ourselves and our families in the market if
mm,
we're going to grow. So
mm,
that's helpful. That's kind of why, for me, yes, be more accountable. But if you're doing all these things right, then you're
mm.
going to be very much successful in growing your solo business.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that. And
Absolutely.
so, let me ask you this: as a solopreneur, okay, we are going to be making mistakes. Do you want to forget your mistakes, or do you want to own your mistakes that you will not make that again, and explain it to others that don't do this because I went through this? What are
I
your
love
thoughts?
it. I think that the learning is so beneficial. If you don't make mistakes, and this doesn't mean you want to make fatal mistakes. Dave Ramsey, in his beautiful Southern accent, says something like, uh, "I don't fire people for making non-fatal errors." In his Southern Tennessee accent, right? So I think that's the thing about mistakes. We're
Mm,
going to make mistakes, and if you make small mistakes, non-fatal mistakes, you'll be okay. You'll learn from it. And I
mm,
think that's what we want to do. And thankfully, there's shows like yours, books we can read, events we can attend to be smarter as we do it. And sometimes we confuse mistakes with experimentation. And
mm,
there's nothing wrong with that.
mm,
Put $50, $100, $1,000 on Facebook ads.
mm,
See what happens. If
mm,
you lose the money, was that a mistake or was that your experimentation, which is
mm,
all great to do? So, but I
mm,
think yes. What you don't want to do is dwell on mistakes and let it drag you down.
mm,
Let
mm,
it be a noose that you
mm,
just drags you down. You're to keep your head down. I can never do it. No, I made a mistake. I made a horrific mistake. I lost money. I
mm,
fired an employee the wrong way.
mm,
Make the mistake and then learn from it and
mm,
build upon that to make you stronger. That's
mm.
what you should do. Because isn't that what exercise is? When you work out, as my understanding is, it's ripping muscles. I'm not a doctor, but I think it ripped muscles or something. When they heal, you
Mm,
get muscles and it makes you stronger.
mm.
So if you're not ripping something, if you're not feeling a bit of pain, I think maybe you're a weak person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that. This is the first time I'm asking this question, and I've never done this before. And this is a new
Okay.
segment that I'm adding here.
I love it. I get to experiment with you. Wonderful.
There you go. So let me ask you this here: what book are you reading right now? There's
Sure.
a
Well,
reason I'm asking this question. Well, I'll tell you
please.
that. Yeah. So because I want to think from your thought process of what books are you reading, so then others can learn from you. I can
I
learn
love
from
it.
you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, and I have a whole bookshelf here. I won't turn my camera, but I will show one. And this is an older book by Eric Ries. To my
Mm,
shame, I haven't read it. I've read a lot of the blog posts on it, but
mm,
The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Now, as you know, I'm a solo business owner, meaning a small business owner. So you think, Ramon, you should be reading small business books. But
mm,
as I just said about lessons learned, when you're reading about billion-dollar companies, Airbnb, or take your pick, whoever was around at the time he's writing this, because it is a bit older book. Date. I don't see a date here. It's amazing how when you're looking for something, you never find it. Only afterwards you find
yeah.
it.
Right.
Oh, 2011. So it's
To
a
the
bit whatever, 11 years old, something like that. I think, right? So my point being is that that's what I'm reading now. The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And I go through and read quite a bit of books,
mm,
whether they're older books or books that I'm reading just now. And by the way, since you mentioned books, I also have a list of the top books that I like for small businesses. You can tell I use Instagram a lot. People can DM me the word best books for a list of like the top 10 books that I put together, because I do read quite a bit,
mm,
podcast quite a bit,
mm.
and learn from people like yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again. And a part two question: what did you learn from that book?
Sure. I think the biggest thing, and I'm still going through it as I look through even the table of contents right now, but I
Mm,
think the biggest thing I learned from this book is one, something that we talked about just now, not being afraid and in fact embracing
mm,
experimentation.
mm,
That's one. Number two, not only not being afraid from it, but embracing experimentation and
mm,
then being able to fail fast. We hear that sometimes, we think it's a cliche, but I think that's so important.
mm,
How do we fail
mm.
fast?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for explaining that, and thank you for again for that book. And I think I'm going to write it down
Absolutely.
and get it for myself. I have a whole bunch of books at the back there.
I see
So
that.
people have been sending me. I'm very fortunate for people like you supporting me on this.
Absolutely.
So before I let you go today, and today is an amazing day, do you have any last words for all my podcast? I'm sorry, my listeners out there and my viewers
Yeah.
out there. And how is your journey on Back to Basics too? On top of that.
Sure, I think it's great. And I think that one, just thank you for the opportunity to share and join you with your community. So, Girish, thank you for what you do. That's one. And I think point two, just to encourage people, listen, the journey of entrepreneurship, small business owner, solo business owner, freelancer, it's not easy. It's very tough.
Mm,
But we're going to have to pick which toughness we want. It's a
mm,
choice. And that journey is very tough. But my
mm,
encouragement to everyone, if you're on the right path, if you're selling a product that people need and can solve their problem,
mm,
keep going. And the key is just innovate and shift and change as
mm,
you go forward, because eventually your plane's going to land and your business will hopefully have some rhythm to it that
mm,
builds profitability for your family for generations to come. Or you can sell it and do something else. But
mm.
I'm happy to be here, and I just appreciate you seeing value in me sharing something with your audience.
No, thank you so much. I've been hearing you on different rooms and different conference rooms, and you are just an amazing person. And I'm so fortunate that you came on my show and made this brighter for all of us to listen to you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, guys, we had our guest today, and we talked about the solopreneurship, right? And we talked about all the books that he's reading. Well, actually, just one book, but he has a whole bunch of them on his shelf, and it's amazing. And there's a reason why I asked this question as to what are you reading? Because we want to learn from our guests, because our guests are celebrities, and they're celebrities on my show. We're trying to build a community. You know, just look further, keep on going, and keep on growing. I think that's what he said. As usual, as always, there is a quote of the day from Back to Basics, and I think my guest will like this quote. I think, don't worry about being successful, but work towards being significant, and the success will naturally follow. Because that's what it's all about, right? For me, it is. Some people, they follow money, they follow something else, right? For me, I follow passion, and passion goes a long way. And as usual, as always, what do we always say at the end of the episode? Everything in life goes back to basics, and that's what we did today, guys. Guys, take care. God bless. Keep on commenting on all my episodes, because it does make me stronger day by day, week by week, because we are releasing every day, and your comments makes me stronger. And there are three things in every episode, including this one, makes it a hit for me, that is, which is the content, the guest, and definitely the host. Guys, take care. God bless. And I will see you next time on Back to Basics. Take care. God bless. Next week's episode on Back to Basics.
They have people in their corner that not only have great methodologies on how to do that, but really care and have created a community of like-minded people that all want to succeed and all want to be of service to each other. Because you know what? Nobody wants to be part of something that's just selfish and just about making money. I mean, that's not fulfilling to anybody. We all need money. Money's very important. And more than that, we need fulfillment. We need a connection to our fellow man and woman, and we need a connection to our Creator, Almighty God.
Yeah, Nikki, thank you.